Most people blend into the rhythm of everyday life, but once in a while, someone comes along who breaks every pattern, not by effort, but by simply being. Their bodies, choices, or sheer existence seem to rewrite the rules most live by. Some carry scars from the strangest surgeries imaginable. Others speak of encounters too strange for explanation. A few were born carrying traits no one can quite define. Together they remind us, being human isn't one thing. It's everything that doesn't fit. Let's begin with number 15. 15. Tiffany didn't just admire Ivanka Trump. She reshaped herself to mirror her. Dozens of procedures followed. Rhinoplasty, implants, cheek fillers, fat transfers, an eyelid lift, and liposuction. By the time she appeared on Botched, her body had been reworked so thoroughly that it left even the surgeons uneasy. Later on Nightline, cameras captured the extent of her transformation and the toll. Tiffany never called it vanity. For her, it was about stepping into elegance and power, becoming someone she always felt inside. Critics saw obsession, she saw self-definition. Her decisions stirred heated debate about beauty, identity, and the fine line between finding yourself and losing yourself. The pain, financial cost, and emotional weight were all part of the process. Still, Tiffany stood by her reflection, believing she had come closer to the woman she was meant to be. Whether others saw it as truth or illusion didn't change that. To her, the mirror finally made sense. 14. Judy Carroll. Since childhood, Judy Carroll believed she was different. At 30, she woke one night unable to move. 3 tall figures stood by her bed. That moment split her life in two. From then on, she began meditating, claiming she now visits those same beings, whom she calls the Greys, on a glowing white spacecraft that resembles a Greek island. She says the connection runs deeper than memory. Her DNA, she believes, was altered before birth, making her part human, part something else entirely. She's written books filled with visions, fragments, and dreams that describe the Greys not as threats, but as quiet guides steering human evolution. Her husband once claimed he felt a presence during one of her meditations. Judy never tells her story for attention. She says it simply is. What others call strange, she calls purpose. The need for proof never interested her. What mattered was the feeling that someone out there had always been watching, and she had always known. 13. Kelly Tyler. Kelly never felt like she came from here. As a child, she battled illness, until one day she believes her soul was swapped with a being from somewhere else. That moment changed everything. Since then, she claims to move between dimensions, where she reconnects with blue-skinned beings who feel like home. She speaks with animals, listens to trees, and says she reads the energy held in everything living. Kelly calls herself a starseed, not for attention, but because it's the only word that makes sense of what she's become. Her role, as she sees it, is to help people feel again, to remind them how to live with the earth, not against it. There's no drama in her voice, no demand to be believed. She talks like someone remembering something you've forgotten. A growing number feel the same. For Kelly, this isn't about magic or power. It's about returning to what was once known and now needs to be remembered. 12. Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn never expected an answer. One quiet night in California, after rehearsal, she closed her eyes in a friend's parked car and wished, just once, to know if we were truly alone. Moments later, a sound pierced her ears, sharp and strange. When she looked up, she saw small silver beings with triangle-shaped heads. She couldn't move. One touched her face. The sensation didn't feel frightening. It felt gentle, even sacred. Goldie didn't speak of it for years. The silence wasn't fear, it was confusion. Years later, while reading accounts eerily similar to her own, she finally opened up. Through regression therapy, more of the memory returned. What she describes isn't terror, it's awe. The world hasn't looked the same since. She believes something reached out that night, something close, patient, and kind. Whether anyone else believed her never seemed to matter. What stayed with her wasn't what she saw, but how deeply it changed what she thought she knew. 11. Leigh and Isaiah. Their house rarely goes quiet. Leigh and Isaiah are raising 5 sons, Zalin, Zaire, Zakari, Zion, and Zamir, with another baby due soon. Lei calls herself a trad wife, running her home with rhythm, structure, and an unshakable sense of purpose. The internet has not been kind. Strangers criticize her values, the quick pregnancies and the number of children. During this latest one, she kept it to herself for 6 months. Shame isn't something she admits too often, but this time it hit hard. Even Isaiah's parents asked them to stop, but she didn't, won't. She dreams of one day holding a daughter, but never once doubts the boys she already has. Their world is loud, messy, a little wild, but there's love in the chaos. Her home may not follow modern rules. She doesn't want it to. Every name, every cry, every meal, every moment, they belong to them. And that to Lei is what a life well lived should sound like. 10. Amanda Rogers. In 2014, Amanda made headlines after holding a symbolic wedding for her dog, Sheba, in Croatia. After years marked by heartbreak, she said Sheba had become the only place she could feel unconditional love. She wore white, kissed the dog's paw, and spoke vows before nearly 200 guests. Amanda explained the ceremony had no legal meaning. It was personal, a way to honor loyalty and companionship. Sheba never walked away, never judged, never caused her pain. That constancy shaped everything. Some people felt moved by her story, others felt disturbed. It stayed in public memory either way. Amanda never described the moment as attention-seeking. She spoke about peace, about finding something steady after human relationships had repeatedly failed her. The headlines eventually faded. What didn't fade was her bond with the one presence that had remained through every disappointment. For Amanda, the ceremony was not about marriage. It was about choosing the place where she finally felt safe. 9. Rachel was 15 when Tourette's entered her life. What began as mild tics soon grew into uncontrollable vocal outbursts. Swearing she couldn't stop. Sounds she couldn't hold back. School unraveled. Friendships thinned. Stepping outside started to feel unbearable. When she began sharing her reality online, the response cut deep. People accused her of pretending, called her possessed, compared her condition to an exorcism. But Rachel didn't disappear. She continued posting, not for sympathy, but to survive. Even ordering food in public terrified her, yet she forced herself through it. Each small moment became an act of endurance. She didn't polish her videos, she didn't soften them, she lived inside them. Over time, something shifted. Her presence became proof that her voice hadn't been stolen. It had changed form. Now she speaks as she is. No quieting, no hiding, not to perform, to exist. Every sound she makes belongs to her, and every day she remains visible becomes its own form of resistance. 8. Kanye Caesar. Born without legs and left outside a temple in Thailand, Kanye was later adopted and raised in Oregon. She didn't move through life carefully. She moved fast, skateboarding, surfing, racing. Anything that carried motion pulled her forward. Survival wasn't her goal, living was. Her body never became something to soften or disguise. It became her instrument. When she entered modeling, it wasn't to be praised. It was to be present, not despite how she looked, but because of it. She wanted space, not pity, visibility, not inspiration. Today, she speaks publicly, builds skate ramps, and keeps doing the things she was once told didn't belong to her. She doesn't argue with limits. She steps past them. Strength to Kanye was never stored in limbs. It lives in the drive, in refusal, in momentum. She doesn't wait for permission. She moves first. Her life doesn't follow the outlines people expect, and she's never tried to make it. What she carries is motion, and motion has always been enough. 7. Nong Yui. In southern China, a boy named Nong Yui was born with eyes that glow blue and reflect light like a cat's. People in his village say he can see clearly in total darkness. Videos show him reading and moving easily in pitch-black rooms. Doctors remain uncertain. Some suggest ocular albinism, a rare condition affecting pigmentation and sensitivity to light. Others point to the possibility of an unusually high number of rod cells in his retinas, which could strengthen low-light vision. No explanation has been confirmed. What remains is the image of a child whose eyes don't behave the way most do. His story traveled quickly, not because it was proven, but because it carried mystery. Some saw science, some saw wonder. Others saw a reminder that the human body still holds unanswered questions. Nongyue himself hasn't tried to shape the narrative. He simply lives with what he was born with. Eyes that don't follow familiar rules, eyes that continue to invite curiosity without offering clarity. 6. Gayla Neufeld. Gayla Neufeld, a plus-size model from Texas, lived in a body few people forgot. Weighing over 400 pounds, her belly measured nearly 9 feet around. She never tried to hide it. She presented it. Her modeling, influenced by burlesque, gained attention across countries. What people noticed first was her confidence. What stayed was her presence. Online, she built a following. Through that space, she found love. She met her second husband on the internet and later moved to Canada. Life brought complications, arthritis, thyroid illness, the constant struggle to find clothing that fits both her body and her identity. None of it erased her certainty. Gayla remained fully herself. She spoke about pride without apology, about joy without conditions. Her message never centered on size. It centered on worth, on the right to exist without shrinking. She wasn't asking anyone to agree with her. She was living in a way that didn't require permission. Gayla didn't chase comfort. She carried it, and she made space for it wherever she stood. 5. Natalie Rasher. Natalie lives with ichthyosis with confetti, an extremely rare skin disorder where her body sheds and regenerates skin too fast. The result is painful, inflamed skin that peels constantly. As a child, she was taunted and kept out of pools. Even now, small things, sugar, cold air, friction, can trigger discomfort. Over time, she noticed tiny patches of smooth skin emerging. She started calling them her confetti, small signs that healing might be possible. Those spots gave her a reason to keep showing up. Today, parents reach out to her. Photographers ask to work with her, but she doesn't sell perfection. She shares what's real. Her body is still raw. The pain still comes. But she tells her story with clarity, not shame. What once felt like a burden has become something else entirely. Her skin is part of her life. Not something to erase, just something she lives in. No performance, no message, just truth. And it's enough. 4. Maria Hosea. Maria Josea once worked as a lawyer and raised 4 children. After escaping an abusive marriage, she began altering her body in ways that helped her feel seen again. It started with 4 titanium horns placed beneath her forehead. She then covered nearly all her skin in tattoos, changed her teeth into fangs, modified her eyes, and shaped her features. In 2012, Guinness recognized her as the most modified woman alive. But for Maria, it was never about setting records. Each change marked a decision to reclaim space she once lost. Today, she runs a tattoo studio, creates fashion, and speaks about what transformation meant for her. Her appearance has never asked for approval. It reflects a life rebuilt on her terms. Every scar is a page in her story. Every change belongs to her. She didn't try to disappear. She decided to reappear, entirely new, entirely hers. Not to provoke, not to explain, just to exist in her own design. 3. Lakshmi. Lakshmi was born with a facial deformity, an extra growth above her nose that resembled a trunk. Unnecessary surgery removed it, but left behind a second shape that made it seem like she had 2 noses. Her appearance could have drawn isolation. Instead, it drew reverence. In her village, people saw something divine. Families made offerings, linked her image to gods like Ganesh and Lakshmi, and invited her into celebrations. Her family couldn't afford surgery to change how she looked, but she never faded into the background. Her presence became something sacred. She didn't chase acceptance. It met her where she lived. The story she carries isn't about changing to fit in. It's about a community that saw meaning in difference. Where others might have judged, they honored. What remained on her face wasn't a flaw. It became something holy. Lakshmi didn't ask for that role, but it found her, and it stayed. 2. Pakirapa Hunagundi. Pakirapa Hunagundi lives in a small village in India and eats bricks, gravel, and dried mud, close to 7 pounds daily. Doctors diagnosed him with pica, a condition where people crave non-food materials. Most with the condition chew paper or chalk. Pakirapa prefers hardened clay and concrete. He's lived this way for over 2 decades and somehow his teeth remain intact. He says he feels fine, doesn't ask for help, and sees no reason to stop. There's nothing theatrical about it. No audience, no explanation, just habit, just hunger. Neighbors don't stare anymore. They've learned it's simply part of who he is. The behavior may confuse doctors and observers, but for Pakirapa, it's familiar. He's not trying to be different. This is just what his life looks like. While others wonder how it's possible, he just keeps going. No need to justify it. No need to make sense of it. He lives as he always has, one bite at a time. 1. Lauren Draper. Lauren developed polyhydramnios during pregnancy, a condition that causes severe fluid buildup. Her stomach grew so large that strangers accused her of faking it. At 34 weeks, she was rushed into an emergency C-section. Her daughter was born without breath, blue, and placed immediately into intensive care. She's still there. Lauren remembers how people looked at her stomach more than her face. After the birth, her body collapsed. "I look like a pancake," she said. But she doesn't talk about her strength. She talks about waiting, sitting beside her daughter day after day, holding hope where nothing is certain. Her story isn't about beating odds or proving something. It's about being present when things break, when nothing makes sense, and still showing up. Her body changed, her world changed, but she hasn't gone anywhere. She stays near her child, through silence, through machines, through the waiting. Not for recognition, just because love has nowhere else to be. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you later.